Okay everyone, that trailer was insane. This trailer makes me extremely hyped for Captain Marvel, and it's clear as to how she's going to be one of the most powerful heroes in the MCU so far. I mean, heck, it looks like we're getting a Super Saiyan in the MCU. This is crazy. Super amazing trailer. Let's get into the breakdown. Okay, so the first part we have Nick Fury, who is working for S.H.I.E.L.D., not Director Fury yet, just an agent for S.H.I.E.L.D. Remember, this takes place in the 1990s, so we have Nick Fury, who's a young agent for S.H.I.E.L.D., riding in the car with Carol Danvers. So she basically just told Nick Fury her story, who the Kree are, who the Skrull are. So he's repeating it back to her, trying to understand it, and of course it's setting it up for the audience to understand who the heroes are, who the bad guys are. So he starts off by saying, so Skrulls are the bad guys. Then it shows the old lady on the train. Carol Danvers is on the train as well. She looks at her and then Carol Danvers punches her in the face. And then all of a sudden this fragile old lady just jumps up and starts attacking her. And that's because she is a Skrull. So one thing about the Skrull that makes them extremely dangerous is the fact that they can shapeshift. So this little old lady is actually an alien, a Skrull in disguise. And then Nick Fury goes on to say, and you're a Kree, a race of noble warriors. And then Carol Danvers corrects him by saying, heroes, noble warrior heroes. And then it shows her walking in front of Star Force. This is her team. They're basically like a SEAL Team 6 for the Kree. They're an elite combat group. So it shows Star Force walking to their ship in a grand, beautiful city on their home planet, which in the comics is called Hala. And then it cuts to the Marvel Studios logo. So what it's basically doing is setting up the Kree-Skrull War. In the comics, the Kree-Skrull War was the highlight of its era. It was just a huge, cosmic, interstellar battle that involved so many characters, such as the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, Mar-Vell, Rick Jones, Adam Warlock, Thanos, just so many characters involved, and it's so awesome to see a movie that's going to be about the Kree-Skrull War. Okay, so after we cut to the Marvel logo, we hear and see Annette Bening's character. So she's obviously a Kree, and she's explaining how the Kree found Carol Danvers and how she became a Kree. Because Carol Danvers is initially just a human, but her DNA becomes part Kree and part human.
We made you one of us, so you could live longer, stronger, superior.
But what's really interesting here is while Annette Bening's character is explaining how they found her, it shows her after some sort of an explosion lying on the ground and she has green blood. So it appears like she is already a Kree in this scene right here, or she may have just became a Kree. So what happens in the comics is that Carol Danvers is kidnapped by the villain Yon-Rogg, and the Kree Mar-Vell goes to save her, and him and Yon-Rogg start fighting. And a forbidden Kree machine called the Psyche Magnetron explodes. And this fuses Carol Danvers' DNA with Mar-Vell's, making her part Kree and part human. So as we continue to watch the trailer, you can clearly see that Carol Danvers is involved in some sort of an explosion. And if you look at the explosion, it looks like quantum energy. This looks like some sort of quantum blast. So this may be how she gets her powers, by being exposed to quantum energy. Much like Ava/Ghost did in Ant-Man and the Wasp. She got her powers from quantum energy. So maybe during this quantum explosion, her DNA gets fused with a Kree's. So it shows Carol Danvers laying on the ground from a plane wreck. She has her Air Force uniform on, and Annette Bening's character explains that they found her with no memory, and they made her into one of us. What she's saying is they made her into a Kree so she could live longer, stronger, and superior. So this is probably partially a lie. Yes, they found her after some sort of plane wreck and explosion, but her memory probably wasn't completely erased. Her head was probably a little bit fuzzy from the wreck, but what most likely happened is they took her and completely wiped her memory away. Because we see her in this weird machine upside down with sort of energy going into her head, and that could be them wiping away her memory.
You were reborn.
So then it shows some flashbacks of the past, and Carol Danvers says she keeps having these memories. And then she says that she thinks that something in her past is the key to all of this. Again, implying that the Kree actually wiped away her memory. We know from the comics that the Kree aren't exactly good. They're not these noble warrior heroes that she talks about. They try to invade Earth in the comics. But if they wiped her memory, of course they told her we're these noble hero warriors. But that's not the case, which is most likely how she ends up with Fury. So at some point in time during the movie, she'll probably find out that she's from Earth, the Kree are going to try and invade, and that's how she becomes an ally to Earth. We then have this scene with Carol Danvers and Nick Fury in a Quinjet.
You know how to fly this thing?
We'll see.
That's a yes or no question.
Yes.
He asks her if she knows how to fly it, and she does, and that's because before the Kree got a hold of her in her past life, she was an Air Force pilot. We then get an awesome shot of Captain Marvel taking off her Mohawk helmet. And if you notice, her helmet comes off the same way that Star-Lord's helmet comes off, which is really cool.
Mr. Lord, can you get your folks to circle up? Mr. Lord. Star-Lord is fine.
We then cut to this next scene in which we hear a voice saying, "Would you like to know who you really are?" This voice sounds like Jude Law's voice. And we have recently found out that his character is actually not Mar-Vell, and he is actually Yon-Rogg. Yon-Rogg, of course, is a villain. He is a Kree radicalist. He actually sides with Ronan the Accuser, who will also be in this movie. Remember, this is set in the 1990s, way before Guardians of the Galaxy. So Ronan the Accuser isn't this crazy Kree fanatic yet. So it seems like we're going to see his transition from just a high-ranking Kree officer into Ronan the Accuser that we know in Guardians of the Galaxy during this film. And since Yon-Rogg is actually a commander for the Kree as well, it's likely that he's close to Ronan the Accuser. So we'll most likely see these two teaming up in the movie. And again, we see this explosion that looks like quantum energy. Remember that Captain Marvel is supposed to have some sort of connection to the quantum realm. So maybe her getting her powers through quantum energy is the way that they connect her to the quantum realm. So it shows her after the crash, she's looking at her hand, she sees the green blood. Obviously, super confused because again, she's born as a human, raised on Earth. After this explosion, she probably becomes part Kree, and now she has green blood, so she's super confused. And then we see through the midst of this explosion, through all this fire and debris, a Skrull walking towards her. It shows the Skrull pointing its gun at Carol Danvers. What most likely happens here is that some Kree shows up and saves her. It could very well be Jude Law's character Yon-Rogg. And this is most likely where the Kree take her. They knock her out somehow, wipe away her memory. When she wakes up, she knows nothing. And then they train her to basically be a weapon. Then they show Carol Danvers with Nick Fury, and we hear Carol say, "I think I had a life here," implying that she believes that she once lived on Earth but can't remember. So we see Nick Fury take her somewhere, and he pulls out some classified files and shows her that she actually used to be an Air Force pilot here on Earth. We then hear her say, "What aren't you telling me?" This could be her talking to Yon-Rogg. It even shows him after she says it. She is most likely asking him this because in this movie we will probably see the Kree actually try to invade Earth. Because after this scene we don't see her wearing her green Kree Star Force uniform anymore. We see her wearing her red, blue, and gold Captain Marvel uniform. And as the trailer goes on, if you freeze frame you can actually see her attacking some Kree soldiers. We then hear somebody say, "This war is just the beginning." And they actually show Ronan the Accuser when she says that. So again, we might possibly see the Kree try to invade Earth along with the Skrull trying to invade Earth as well. So the Kree and the Skrull are at war with one another, maybe because they're both trying to claim Earth. And then we hear Carol Danvers / Captain Marvel drop that awesome line when she says, "I'm not gonna fight your war, I'm gonna end it." We then see her go full Super Saiyan. She goes into her binary mode and goes crazy. She's flying through space, destroying Skrull ships like they're nothing with her energy blasts, Mohawk helmet and all. In binary mode, her energy powers are insane. Her energy blasts in binary mode are as strong as a nuclear explosion, and you can tell by the way she's just destroying ships. This is why she's going to be one of the strongest heroes in the MCU. This is why Nick Fury calls her after the snap. It's crazy to see how strong she is. And then the trailer actually ends with one of my favorite parts. It ends with Nick Fury petting a cat, but not an ordinary cat. In the comics, Captain Marvel has a pet cat named Chewie. In the movie, they actually changed his name to Goose, and you can see that on his collar. Goose is not a normal cat, he's actually an alien species called a Flerken. And in the comics, Rocket Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy actually tries to kill Goose. So I was really excited to see Goose in the movie. So that's it for the full Captain Marvel trailer breakdown. It was an amazing trailer, it gave us a lot more info about the movie, and I thought it was just fantastic, especially the final scenes of the trailer. That final scene of her flying through space, full binary mode, destroying all the ships was just amazing. It gets me so hyped to see the movie when it comes out. Let me know what your favorite part of the trailer was in the comments down below. And I'm still doing my giveaway. I'm giving away copies of Infinity War, the Art of the Movie art book, copies of Avengers Infinity War, Deadpool 2, and Ant-Man and the Wasp on Blu-ray, and some special edition posters. All you have to do to enter for your chance to win is subscribe to my channel, like this video, and comment down below with your thoughts and your favorite superhero. I won't be surprised if I see a lot of Captain Marvels in the comment section today. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can stay up to date on everything relating to Captain Marvel and Avengers 4. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.